Good morning. G2 Customs, FAQ. Okay, G2 Customs are, you get 4 parts, 2 yo-yos, all matching in the same colorway of your choice. And we're going to discuss how you pick your colorway and what's available. So first up, your yo-yos. First up, how do you get on the list? You have to be a Patreon member. We do a list 2 to 3 times a year. Usually we have 50 to 60 people sign up on that customs list. So it takes usually about a month to get through a set of 10. So it depends on if the anodizer wants some extra work or where I'm at for how quickly I can do some. So we have the signups 2 or 3 times a year. You have to be a member over on the Patreon page. That's part of the perks of being a member over there. So go sign up for the bottom tier. You can get your own custom set of G2s. Now how's it work? First, you pick your 2 yo-yos. They vary based on when your name is pulled off of that list. It's just whatever raws are at that anodizer that does the customs at that time. That's what's available. When you get on the list, you're not set up that you have to take the customs. When your name's drawn, if the raws that are available you already have or you don't want, that's fine. You can pass. You don't get put back on the list. You just wait for the next list to sign up. Otherwise, people will just keep passing, waiting for maybe a specific yo-yo to be available in a raw. So it's just luck of the draw what's available when your name gets called. So 2 yo-yos, all the same color. For the most part, you stick with 4 colors, and I'll tell you the different techniques here. You can go to 5 colors, there's a slight price increase. You can go to 6, there's another price increase, and also a warning about vibe. As you add dye, strip dye, add dye, strip dye, it can increase your chances for issues. So 4 is what the anodizer likes in these custom batches to be limited to. He's willing to up it for 5 at a different price. 6 depends on his mood and how nice we are. Okay, so you're on the list, your name gets called. I shoot you a message on Patreon that says you've been called. These are the raws available. That message will also include the colors. Right now I'm working with him to get solid color options of each of the colors he has, so you have a good idea on what's available. The colors do slightly change each time based on material of the yo-yo, blast of the yo-yo, size of the yo-yo, and then just also variance on his size, temperature of the tank, how long it's in the tank. So colors will slightly vary from batch to batch, but are pretty consistent overall. So you've got your raws available in that message, your colors available, and then we need to discuss what you would like. So let's go over the techniques. This is the biggest questions I get is what is this. So acid wash. This is usually used as a base. It can also be used in a splash speckle, and it's where the colors mix together causes a wash. This is limited on the color options. I don't have all the combos available. So if you have 2 colors that you want to get washed, you just have to ask sometimes, and I'll ask the anodizer. He'll say yes or no. For the most part, everything will wash with clear. Everything will wash with black. 3 color washes do exist. It has to be a smaller template of colors, and it has to use black as one of those colors. Splashes. This is your long splash across the yo-yo. I don't have a better way to describe it, but this is what it looks like. It's the longer lines here. For the most part, when we go through these customs, I like to do the check box. Yes splash, yes speckle. Sometimes you can open a can of worms and say that I would like heavier splash. And you will get more splash, but we can't be like, I want normal splash, but just a little bit extra, like 2 extra splashes. That doesn't really work just the way that the setup and how the splashing actually works. So when you ask for extra, you're going to get extra. Can we control if it's more than you wanted? Not really. You can also ask for light, but you go down that same rabbit hole of now you might just have 1 or 2 splash streaks across the yo-yo. So I kind of like to stick with just the standard. It varies every single time. They're never going to be perfectly consistent on the splashes. But you can ask light or heavy. That works as well on the speckle, which we'll go into now. Also in the splash, you are able to do a wash inside of the splash or a fade that we will talk about in a minute. But the speckles, these are the little dots. The small speckles you see on Nebula You can only get those in the clear color because that is actually just used as bleach, taking the color out of the yo-yo, where the normal speckles are used as masking to mask that color and then removed. And it's just a spray paint can, so it's very hard to pinpoint exactly what you want. So you've got the normal speckle that I'm showing you, and this is the small dots. You can ask for lighter or heavier, but understand that it's going to vary as well. And if you get too heavy into the speckles, they can really blotch together and become larger blobs. You can also get, so you can do solid colors, acid wash, or fade inside the speckles. Oftentimes I suggest doing the same color speckle as your splash. Sponge. The sponge technique is basically using like a Scotch-Brite pad with the masking agent. You put your color down, you sponge the yo-yo. So it's inconsistent whether the blotch is solid or if it has the little spongy marks through it. That's just part of the way that it goes. You can do acid wash inside the sponge. You can do 3 or 4 colors all sponge. You can do a fade in the sponge as well. So we've got the splash, we've got the speckle, we've got the sponge, we've got the acid wash, we have fade. Now currently, the filming of this video, there's only one fade available, and that's the way that this anodizer does their fades. It's not half dipping the yo-yo in the anode tank. There's a different technique, and the anodizing dyes that he has for that right now are only yellow and pink. So you can only do a pink to yellow fade. It has got the orange in the middle that you've seen on like the solar splatter. So you can do that inside of basically anything. Speckle, splash, sponge. But that's the only fade we can currently do. Solids, they definitely work. So the most of the time, if you're going to get a splash or a speckle, you're going to pick out your base color first, and then you're going to ask, let's just say you're going to ask for a blue yo-yo with yellow sponge and red speckles. So that's how the verbiage would go. Your base color first, it's the majority of the yo-yo, and then your contrasting options with the sponge, splash, speckle. As we talked about with the technical part of the splash and speckle, if you want heavy or light, you can do that. That kind of works as well with the sponge, where you can get creative. And I mean, you're always open to ask any questions about, can I try this? I'll either know the answer or I'll ask the anodizer for you. So we've had people do just the sponge just around the rims. That's something that you can do that's kind of out of the standard. We've had people do just sponge in the center. So that kind of works. You could, in theory, do splash just on one, the cup side, so the axle side, or the cup side. If you wanted to do just splash, just speckle that way, that's something that we can work with. And then we can also, if you need something to be the top color, we can do that as well. If you want the speckle to be the top color, that where a speckle and a splash overlap, the speckle is the top color. We just need to know that prior. So the order for the colors that the anodizer does it in the masking. So those are all small minor details that you can do. I kind of don't suggest to go down that road because it is still a manual process, and it's not going to be perfect every time. And if you have something super specific in mind, anodizing process might not be exactly what you have in mind when you try to get that technically perfect to match what you're thinking of. Color matching, we don't really color match. I'm going to tell you in that message you'll have the colors that are available. I'll try to give you examples of where they are. If you look on Instagram, hashtag G2 Yo-Yos Customs, that's where I started putting the new customs. So all of those are from one anodizer, and that shows what their splash looks like, their speckle, because it's different from anodizer to anodizer, and this custom guy's stuff is different than some of the stuff you'll see in the store. So check out that. The Discord page, I dropped the photos in the G2 Customs, and it shows exactly what colors are used and what technique, so that's really useful to look at. I'm always open to a quick FaceTime call if that would help you. If you have certain questions that aren't really translating through text, just let me know, and we'll set up a little Facebook video call, and we can discuss it there. Or photos from something that you're looking for, I can try and help you best to match it. Pricing's always subject to change, but we usually do a $100 deposit at the time of the order, and then the rest is due when the yo-yos are ready to ship. So that allows for a couple things. If it's a glitch, I take money off that secondary payment, and that way it's just spread out. The $100 up front is just so that you're committed to them when they get back. Any more questions, ask them below. I'll do my best to answer them so that other people can also reference those questions and answers in the future on this video. This is just the quick FAQ. Make sure you take a look at some of the other customs videos in this playlist, and you'll be able to see colorway examples and might spark some ideas for you for your customs.